Hi everyone and welcome back to another Mixed Media Tuesday. Again, I'm working on my square 6x6 journal and I'm going to share yet another page following the same steps that I have been following throughout this journal. So I have a new Stamperia collection here and I'm going to quickly browse through it where you can see that there are so many different elements that I can use as my focal points on the pages. So that's where the inspiration is coming from, and I will be using this bunny with the watering can, and I absolutely love those quirky animals here, so I know that I will be using those a lot. So depending on how big you need your focal points to be, you can either go with the 8x8 paper pad or the 12x12 where you get those animals even bigger. And of course, keep in mind that if you hate fuzzy cutting, there are these paper cutouts available from the same collection. Now these are already cut out for you. All you need to do is to pop them out, and what I love about them is that they don't give you a white border all around. And also it is the same thickness as the paper pad, so it is as if you did the perfect fuzzy cutting. Also, it's a bonus that they are printed front and back, so you can easily flip them on your page and having the images facing whichever way you like. So anyway, that's where the inspiration comes from, and I will start my page as always with rice paper. So I absolutely love this rice paper design. I think it creates the perfect background. I will be cutting it into a square. And as always, I will be sticking it down with my rice paper glue. I like to apply a good amount of rice paper glue first on my page, and then I apply the rice paper on top. You can see the rice paper is not as delicate as you think. You can easily lift it and reposition it. That glue isn't sticky at all, but it does the job, and it's going to seal it on top as well. You can use your heat gun to make sure that this step is dry, or leave it alone and let it dry on its own. And then let's move on to the next step, where I like to use my white paint. So I'm going to use a little blob of white acrylic paint, and with a white brush I'm going to add some brush strokes. I have diluted my white paint a lot with water, which is going to apply a wash, making the background more look like faded. However, it doesn't cover up the designs. And I'm going to use my heat gun to make sure that this is dry. Next step, and it's where I do the stamping. I'm using a black permanent ink and some text stamps. This text is coming from the first ever design of stamps that I did with Stamperia. It is really old, a couple of years ago, and now discontinued, but I'm sure you all have some text stamps in your stash that you can use on a background. And because stamping on the background is fun, I'm going to bring in one more stamp that I can mix and match with whatever I have already stamped there. I usually like to go with a text and a circle, so that's what I'm doing here, just in a few areas here and there. And notice that I mainly stay where I have already stamped previously, like creating a cluster of stamping. And I'm bringing yet again another stamp. I am going to use mainly the headlines of this stamp, and I'm making up only the top part with the bigger words, and I will go kind of all around the border to create kind of a darker border on the edges. This is kind of going to frame my project. And by the way, let me know in the comments, have you tried these steps of art journaling? I did share many pages. This is the 7th page up to now, and I'm wondering if you find that helpful. So anyway, I am going to move on and use a stencil, and with the colors that I already have on my background, I think the golden Glamour paste will go beautifully. So I'm going to apply that in randomly on my background. Again, at this stage I don't know exactly where I'm going to stick my focal points, but I just go with the flow. I'm having fun layer after layer, and if it is pleasing to the eye as it is, it really makes me happy. I don't care if I'm going to cover it up later on. But you can definitely work completely differently. That's what works for me. I always say there is no art journal police, do what makes you happy. If you cannot work like that, just plan everything ahead of time. So this is the stage where I audition my focal points and decide what is pleasing to the eye and how the composition is going to come together. I have left the page to dry and now I can just pop some images out. At this stage I don't know exactly what I'm going to use. In the beginning I was thinking I will use the dog, but I'm going to leave the dog for another page. And I like to play with elements. Sometimes I even take all those elements out of the paper. I just pop them all out and just store them in an envelope for easy use. And look how everything is already cut out for you, even the inside of the gears. So anyway, this is the bunny that I will be playing with, and I will move on to the part where I stick everything down with my rice paper glue, so you can see how my composition is going to come together. So you see, I want to frame the bunny somehow, which is going to make him pop even more, but at the same time I don't want that frame to be straight on the page. I like it to have it on an angle, which it gives more movement, and I think it goes well with the quirky personality of my bunny. So that's how I want this to be. I'm just going to use my glue, rice paper glue again, to stick everything down. And remember, I am going to use the same glue to seal down everything, to cover everything on top as well. Make sure that this layer of glue is completely dry, and then you can go ahead and do the shading. I like to do that with my big brush markers by Faber-Castell. These are the Pitt markers. I touch the tip of the marker just a little bit on top of my cutouts and then smudge it with my fingers. This way I ensure that I don't have any harsh lines. Everything looks nice and blended, those shadows. I like to use a couple of tones darker color than what is already on the image, which makes the image pop even more because it enhances the colors, and at the same time it adds shadows. By adding those shadows, the elements pop against each other, and I feel like it really makes the composition come to life. And I move on to the next step, which is adding the doodling. I'm using a fine black marker and I'm adding some sketchy lines where I feel I need a little bit more contrast. So this is going to again help the image pop against the background. As you can see, I'm adding some outlines, and I'm not trying to make the perfect outline all around my cutout. I'm just adding some sketchy lines just here and there. Now I grabbed my white gel pen and adding some highlights again, always randomly without overthinking where the light is coming from. I like to do that because I feel that it gives a whimsical look. It is kind of my signature touch on my pages. I really enjoy it, although I sometimes struggle with my white gel pens like everybody else. And now let's move on and do some splatters. I felt like I needed to add some black splatters as well as white, so I just diluted black acrylic paint with water. And as I'm doing that, just to let you know that this is a pre-filmed and pre-scheduled post today, as well as the one that I will be posting on the next Mixed Media Tuesday. I am away on a crafting cruise, hopefully having the time of my life, and but I just wanted to let you know because I might be very slow in answering any questions, but thank you all so much for any comments that you leave. I will make sure that I will go through them and reply just a little bit slower. Now, for my quote, I decided to use this fun little gadget that helps you print out whatever you like. Sometimes I use my label maker, other times just print out with my regular printer. I even use cutout letters to put together words or even stamps. There are so many different ways, or you can just cut out sentiments from the paper pads that are always available. So anyway, I'm just going to use those because they look so much fun. And then here is a tip, I want to outline them with my white gel pen, but because they are too shiny, the white gel pen is not going to work on top of them. That's why I'm sealing them with my matte glue. This is going to turn them into being completely matte, and my gel is going to run through it with no issues at all. So that was the project for today. I hope that you had fun, that you got inspired. The links to everything I used can be found down below, just like always. Here are some close-up photos where you can see the details better. Thank you all so much for joining me today, and I'll see you all next time.